Margaret Abrams, the Executive Director of the Rose Andom Center, and I am overwhelmed at all of you that are here, and I am so pleased to welcome you today and joining us in the grand opening of this wonderful facility. Today is definitely a day of celebration and gratitude. Celebration in reaching this momentous occasion and the remarkable milestone this represents in offering easier access to services and resources to thousands of domestic violence victims and their children as they seek a path towards safety and hope. Celebration in our community coming together to create this fabulous resource in which victims and their children can feel safe, welcome, and valued at a point in their lives where they may feel most discouraged and disheartened. It is certainly a day of gratitude, as this day would not be possible without the generosity, time, and expertise of so many of you that are here today. I want to say a special thank you to the partner agencies of the Rose Andom Center, and those of you who have participated in an untold number of meetings over the last decade, dedicating thousands of staff hours to ensure that the partnerships and programs offered here would be of the highest quality and those necessary to best serve the victims in our community. The core partners of the Rose Andom Center over the past 10 years have included Safe House Denver, Project Safeguard, Colorado Legal Services, the Blue Bench, the District Attorney's Office, the City Attorney's Office, Project PAVE, the Coalition for the Homeless, the Denver Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, the Denver Department of Human Services, Denver County Court Probation, the Denver Police Department, Denver Children's Advocacy Center, Servicios de la Raza, and Healing from the Heart, among others. So please take a moment to talk to them today about their services and how they are partnering with the Rose Andom Center. Lots of those folks also have name tags. We certainly look forward to a growing community of partner agencies as word spreads about the impact that we can have here. I also want to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to the team at Oz Architects for all they have done to design. They've put incredible thought into designing this spectacular space, and in particular, Joe Levy, who is here, Bud Thompson, and the attention to every detail and countless hours that have been contributed to Robert Wilsey, which I know they're all here somewhere. Our general contractor, Melinda White. They have also done an amazing job in bringing this space to life and ensuring that the construction stayed on schedule. I think it's a bit of an understatement to say that this has not been the usual construction project for any of them. Both Oz and Melinda White quickly came to understand there would be added layers of involvement as we tried to ensure that all the partners had input on the design and all of the renovation details. Every one of their team has gone above and beyond in carrying out this project, from participating in multiple meetings to soliciting donations from subcontractors to finding creative ways to keep costs down without compromising the quality of the job. Everyone has put in additional time and exhibited unending patience with our questions about cost, technology, permitting issues, and all kinds of other details that my social work background did not help me with in the construction project. My gratitude to Darren Hinton, Rob Moreau, and the fabulous team that they assigned to this project, Grayson, Scott, Jeff, Chuck, and John, who are also here as well, cannot be measured. You have all shown such great care and dedication in all we've done here. I can't really say that I'm ready to take on another construction project, but if I do, I'm going to be calling you. I'm not doing it without you. Let's see, I also want to thank Cole Finnegan and Sierra Russell for all of the help that they've offered through Hogan Lovells in shepherding us through a lot of the legal issues and details in making this project work. And Rose, I want to say a special thank you to you for believing in the vision that we brought to you and believing in the right of victims to have safe access to resources and hope in a better life. I am also grateful for your courage in sharing your own story, your desire to reach out and help others, and inspiring so many others in our community to invest in creating a place of healing and hope for victims and their children. I look forward to continuing to work with you to make the Rose Andom Center one of the best family justice centers in the country. Don't start, Rose. I'm going to be right there with you. I have been so honored to be part of this journey over the past decade and could not have contributed to where we are today without the support of the Denver District Attorney's Office. Mitch, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of such a special project and for the leadership that you've offered to ensure that the Rose Andom Center would become the reality that it is today. Your willingness to talk to any group at any time about the vision of the Rose Andom Center has generated incredible support from donors, from community members, other service providers, and other jurisdictions.
Amen.
And I would also be remiss without extending my heartfelt gratitude to all the incredible talent and time devoted by your lovely wife, Maggie. Her knowledge, grace, compassion, and tireless persistence have made everything about today possible. We are also incredibly fortunate that she has agreed to be the inaugural chair of the Rose Andom Center Board of Directors. And speaking of which, we do have a wonderful board of directors to move the Rose Andom Center into the next phase of operations. The 17-member board has jumped in and already taken on numerous tasks to ensure our ongoing success, for which I am personally very grateful. Will those of you board members that are here kind of do a raise your hand? I know there's several of you. Thank you. And I am also honored to thank and introduce Mayor Michael Hancock. I had the privilege of getting to know Mayor Hancock while he was a member of City Council, and we had invited him to speak at a conference early on about building collaborations to improve domestic violence intervention efforts. It was then that I became aware of how personally and tragically domestic violence had impacted him and his family. I'm also thankful for your courage in sharing your family's story and your dedication to find better answers for victims who often are caught in a web of silence and confusion. Mayor Hancock visited other family justice centers with us to see what the possibilities were and has championed this vision of easier access to services for victims and their children. I am very honored for all the support you have given to this project, personally and professionally, and I am so pleased to have you here. Let's welcome Mayor Hancock.
Thank you all, and thank you all for being here. I want to thank Margaret. I think it'd be appropriate right now to acknowledge Margaret Abrams, the executive director, the inaugural executive director of the Rose Andom Center, and of course, Chairwoman Maggie Morrissey, for your tremendous leadership. You know, Mitch and I would show up to give the speeches and to talk about the importance of this center, but the work got done with Maggie and Margaret making it happen. And so you two take a bow. I want to acknowledge, of course, local officials, elected officials who are here. Councilman Paul Cashman, I want to thank you for being here today. Certainly, I understand State Representative Beth McCann is in the room somewhere. Want to acknowledge her, thank her for being here. Our former governor, former district attorney, Bill Ritter, I understand, is here as well. Thank you, Bill. And I want to thank members of my team. Chief White is here, our safety executive director, Stephanie O'Malley, and many of the folks who worked so tirelessly. Janice Sennett, who took this as a personal cause to make sure that we stayed involved and kept moving this forward. We could not be at this moment without the city attorney's office, the facilities manager's office, general services making it happen today. And so to all the public servants who go unsung, we stand up and take a bow to you today because we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so very much. It means so much to have a group of people here to support such a worthy cause. And unfortunately, just about everyone in this room has encountered domestic violence either directly or indirectly in our lives. We're all here today because we recognize the importance of the Rose Andom Center. Putting a stop to domestic violence is a top priority in Denver, and now the Rose Andom Center is here to provide access, services, so that victims of domestic violence will have a place to help meet their needs. I want to share with you just a quick anecdote why this is so important. I happened to be in Indianapolis this weekend during one of the big awards programs that was on television. As I stood there watching, this one entertainer who had been arrested once or twice for acts of domestic violence was about to perform. And I didn't realize who I was standing next to, but of course some young ladies were there, and they were talking about this entertainer and how they loved him, and he was coming in for a concert, and they looked at a couple of the mayors who were standing there watching and said, "Aren't you guys excited to someday, have you ever seen him?" You know, I said, "I would never spend one penny to see him." And the young lady looked at me and said, "Well, why not? He's an exceptional entertainer." I said, "He's also been charged not once but twice, and maybe a third time with domestic violence." And what alarmed me was the response of the young lady who said she must have done something. And I, without thinking, immediately went in on this young lady. She was not my child. But I wanted her to understand that there is never something that she could do to make him respond, because a real man walks away and says, "We'll deal with this another way." And it's unfortunate and scary that any young lady will have that attitude. Folks, join with us in the Rose Andom Center putting an end to domestic violence in our city and throughout this nation. This wonderful center, isn't it wonderful, will bring together organizers and government agencies together under one roof to provide for the needs of individuals and families affected by domestic violence. By collating staff and crucial services in one place, these organizations and agencies will not only be able to provide more and better coordinated services, but victims and their families will also be able to access the full range of services and support they need in a single, safe location. The Rose Andom Center is there for time of crises. It is a place for refuge, and it couldn't have been done without the help of all of you in this room and of a community, a very compassionate community, and of course, generous donors. This is a beautiful center. 10 years ago, Mitch and Steve and Margaret said, let's go to San Diego. 10 years ago, I walked into their center, and we all agreed we need this in Denver, Colorado. I think you all will agree we blew it out the water. We rearranged the chairs on the deck. Denver's center is top-notch from day one. And so let me thank very quickly the donors and our partners who've made this happen. And if I can change, well, I'll get to that. First of all, to the namesake, my dear friend, Rose Andom, who has been phenomenally successful in business. But I'm going to tell you today, it's never late than never. It's better late than never to find your calling. And while you've been phenomenally successful in business, I think this is what God had intended you to do. Thank you, Rose Andom. Thank you. To the Colorado Office of the Attorney General, Cynthia Kaufman jumped in with both feet, wrote a check for $1 million shortly after being elected. The Anschutz Foundation, Ted Harms here. Christian is here. Christian Anschutz is here. Thank you, Christian. I got to tell you, thank you so much to the Anschutz Foundation. We met with Phil directly, Nancy, and Christian, and they didn't hesitate. And to the foundation, Ted, everyone, thank you. I'd love seeing Phil on stage with Lady Gaga and the Dalai Lama this weekend. To the Daniels Fund, to our partner and friend, Linda Childers, who never falls short of standing up for the community. Thank you, Linda Childers. To the Gates Family Foundation, particularly Diane Wallach, trustee, if you're here, thank you, Diane. To the Denver Broncos and the Denver Broncos Charity, Cindy Kellogg, vice president as well. Betcher Foundation, Tim Schultz. We want to thank the El Pomar Foundation, our good friend Bill Hibble down there. The Leprino Foundation, Mike Leprino, didn't hesitate to say yes. The William H. Donner Foundation, Debbie Donner, if she's here, thank you. To the Barton Family Foundation, Laura Barton. Is Laura in the room? We want to thank you as well. I haven't seen her. She's in the back. I saw a hand. Thank you, Laura. To the Marty and Brown Cannon family. And, of course, to Millender White Construction. Now, there are contractors, there are partners, and then there are those companies that become part of the family. Melinda White moved from contractor straight to family right away. We would not be here today if they didn't simply say we're going to get it done no matter what it takes. Melinda White, thank you so much for your support. You deserve another hand. Again, to all of you, thank you so very much. There's one other person. I acknowledged Janice Sinnen, my chief of staff, who really took this on and said, I'll be your point to make it happen. But I want to acknowledge also Josh Hanflin, who, my bald brother from another mother somewhere over there, who made it as well a personal mission to get us to this moment. And we thank you, Josh. We're a good friend. So to all of you, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for helping us get to this moment. We're not done. We still have a little ways to go, but we're going to work hard to finish the job, right, Mitch? And to make sure this center remains here, open, accessible for everyone who needs it. And now it's absolutely my pleasure to introduce a dear personal friend, someone who at the right time asked the right question, how can I help? And then simply said, I'm going to help. And I know it's always strange and weird for her to say, for me to say this, and for Mitch to mention it, when she simply said, I'm in, and not only am I in, I'm in for $1 million. And then she kept saying, I'm in for another $500,000, and I'm in for more. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a true angel, someone who understands the need in the community and how we can make a difference. She is generous. She is wonderful. She cries an awful lot, so forgive her now. But y'all give it up for a dear friend of this community and for everyone who walked in. Rose Andom.
Okay. Thank you. They know I will cry at the drop of a hat. 2 pages, but I type really large because I can't see. You know, it is truly a tremendous feeling when a dream is fulfilled. When I met with my friend, the mayor, a few years ago, over lunch, I said to him, I've been very blessed, and I'd like to give back. And he asked me first, what are you passionate about? And the first thing out of my mouth was domestic violence. And I mentioned a couple of other things, but he said, well, you know, the city has been trying to do something here for quite some time, and we just haven't gotten it off the ground. So I said, I'm all in. Having been a victim myself, I couldn't think of a better way to help the citizens of Denver. Thank you, Mayor, for helping my dream come true. I swore I wasn't going to do this, but these are very happy tears today. I'd like to next thank Maggie. Without you, I don't think we would be sitting here today. The center wouldn't be open. You are phenomenal. And Margaret, you guys have worked so hard to raise the money, and we needed over $13 million. We're almost there. Still have some to go, and I'm going to speak on that a little bit later. I thank the DA's office, Mitch, your staff, City Attorney's office, Steve, Margaret, Josh. You've all been so great. We had a fundraiser a few years ago, and I'm not sure if it was Josh's idea, but we gave little tins of mints. It was Josh's idea. I still have some. He gave me a bunch after the dinner was over. I'm still giving them out. And I said when I made my comments that, you know, a little poor black girl from Oklahoma had made it when her name was on a tin of mints. Well, my God, now it's on a building. I am so grateful. I'm not going to be redundant and name all of the individuals who have contributed to this center. You guys know who they are. But I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. We are poised to help, unfortunately, probably over 3,000 individuals a year. I understand that's how many domestic violence cases the DA's office deals with. And keep in mind, those are the ones who come forward. There are thousands others who suffer in silence. Many die on an annual basis. We're here to help them. So this is the beginning. This is really, in my mind, the beginning. This is when we start to help people. We're ending one phase, but we're starting the most important phase. I would also like to thank the architects. I think you guys did a tremendous job. I saw this space before the construction started, and oh my God, you would have had to have seen it to truly appreciate how wonderful this is. And I thank the construction company for the tremendous job that you did, Melinda White, and also for your contribution that I understand you're giving. Was that 100,000? Let's see, what else do I have on here? You know, I just pray that this center is going to be a beacon of light for the citizens of Denver that are seeking hope for a brighter future. I believe in my heart that it will be. God is good all the time. Okay, so I would be remiss, since I have the microphone, if I did not encourage each and every one of you in this room to give whatever you can. We still need almost $1 million to complete the renovation of the second floor. Pointing up. And I'm going to close with the words of my pastor before they pass the plate at church. As you write out your checks, millions is spelled with an M and billions with a B. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. I'm also pleased to introduce Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey for a few comments.
Well, Rose is a tough act to follow. And you know, one of the best parts of this whole project for me was getting to meet Rose. And I had her as a guest on that Dialogue Denver DA show, and she started crying. And it was one of those deals where the moderator was like, okay, what do we do? And I said, just have the camera on me and let Rose compose herself. And then I went to radio stations with her, and we were, you know, kind of a team. And Rose got better and better, and I haven't seen her cry, I think, in over a year. So Rose, thank you so much. You know, I tried to go out of my way, and I wanted to make sure that Bill Ritter was here, because Bill Ritter was such a leader for us and remains a leader for us when we're talking about domestic violence. So, Bill, thank you. But I would be remiss if I did not thank someone who couldn't be here today. Somebody who we invited, but because of his health, couldn't make it this morning. That's Norm Early. Norm Early hired me in 1983, and we were in the throes of a large domestic violence controversy. A man named Clarence Burns had followed his estranged wife. She had left him because he was so abusive. He had followed her to a home, in fact, climbed in the trunk of her car. And when he got to where she was living, a safe house with her son, he got out of the car, followed her in, and shot her in the head 5 times in front of that little boy. And we had a judge in Denver that gave him 2 years work release. 2 years with work release. And said it was because it was her fault. We got that changed. We appealed twice. And we got that changed to a 10-year sentence. But I'll never forget Norm's leadership. In that instance, and then said, we're going to change things in this city. We're going to change the way we deal with domestic violence. Because survivors of domestic violence should not be on their own out there in our community. So I'm sad that Norm couldn't be here today, because we stand on his shoulders today when we open this place. And this is part of his vision, although I don't know if he ever, I know he was in this building because we taped a TV show in here when I was a young deputy, but I think he'd be amazed at what we've done. And so I was sad to hear that he couldn't be here, but I wanted to thank him. You know, domestic violence impacts us all. And a friend of mine asked me, well, why are you doing this, Mitch? And I said, you know, I'm doing it for the kids. This is somebody that I play tennis with almost every week. And he sat there, and I said, it's that kid that's hiding. It's that kid that when his father comes through the door, he knows it's going to be a long night. He knows, or she knows, that she's going to have to listen to what their mother has to go through. And a tear came to his eye. 60-some-year-old man. I don't play the young guys anymore. And he said, I'm one of those kids. I'm one of those kids. He goes, my dad used to beat my mother to a pulp, and I would hide. And she would cry out and say, I won't say his name because he might be here, go get help. Go get neighbors. Go get me some help. And he said he'd start out, and his father would come after him. And he'd go back into his hiding place. The number one reason that young men commit murder in this country is defending their mothers in domestic violence. So he said, get it built, because I'm one. And I've told that story to a number of groups as we've talked. And I can tell when someone's head drops, they're one of those kids. They felt that terror. And Rose, thank you so much, because this is what this place is about. It's about ending that for some of these children. So I know a lot of people, and you've listened to a lot of thanks, and I want to thank the mayor. Cole, thank you so much. That triage team we put together, that was an interim step, and it's made difference and saved lives. So thank you. Michael, thank you again. Margaret, you've done a great job. I assigned you to do this, and you did excellent. We didn't have a nonprofit, the Rose Andom Center nonprofit. So we started to get this money, and we needed help from the Denver Justice Council, which is a nonprofit Maggie runs. And we've got a great board there. John Zackham, who heads our board, couldn't be here. Steve Siegel, obviously, is on the board. And the mayor mentioned Josh, and I won't say anything about your haircut, Josh, but thank you so much for your commitment. And then, last, I wanted to also mention Kelly Leeds, because Kelly Leeds was in on those early meetings. The mayor pulled him off. I think he had a bigger project, but not a better project. And Kelly's here, and Kelly, phenomenal support. Cynthia, thanks for your support. But I'll tell you, this was a dream. It was a dream of Bill Ritter's 12 years ago. It was a dream that we all had. But a dream needs a champion. And my wife, Maggie, and you won't know, because you didn't see it, but I saw it. My wife is one of those people that sweats the details. Every detail. Her brother's here, and he's shaking his head. My son's here, and they're shaking their head. They know. The sleepless nights. The wondering, where are we going to get this money? How are we going to pull this off? Putting her own reputation in this community on the line. Bringing in all the partners that we have in this room. All the people we mentioned and didn't mention. And by the way, we mentioned the big donors, but I know there's a lot of donors here. People pay to wear jeans in my office to donate to this place. If you gave us $5, thank you, because we spent it well. And we had a lot of small donors and a lot of in-kind donors, and I just don't want to leave you out, so thank you so much. But it's one thing to dream, and it's another thing to make that dream a reality. And Maggie, I just can't thank you enough. I would go to bed, and she would stay up. I would wake up, and she'd still be up. And she just did a phenomenal job on this place. I always say it's great when a plan comes together. And so when I think about those kids that will be in this room, instead of hiding in a closet or hiding under a sink in a bathroom. I want to thank you for that. And thank you all for being here.